This helps the public at large to understand the nuances of various subjects, to educate them the right way, right from the correct sources. We have the pleasure today of having a very important person, a very brilliant, intelligent man, and a nice, helpful human being with a human nature that I can see with my brief interaction over a period of time. Dr. Rajesh Gawande is currently posted as the Regional Passport Officer and Head of the Branch Secretariat of the Ministry of External Affairs in Mumbai. He's an officer of the Indian Forest Service of the 2009 batch and has served as the diplomatic assignments in Nairobi, Kampala, and Berlin. He has also worked in United Nations Division in the Ministry of External Affairs. In the last posting in Germany, he was the economic officer responsible for attracting German investments and technologies into India and promoting India's exports and tourism to Germany. Now, that's a very interesting post that we would love to learn about and see what German, I'm an ophthalmologist and I'm a surgeon, and the kind of German machinery that we use, the precision blindly, is it what we can trust the Germans at. Dr. Rajesh Gawande holds a PhD in energy security, a master's degree in business management, and a bachelor's degree in telecommunication engineering. Welcome to the show, sir, and thank you for sparing your valuable time.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for this kind words and this introduction. It's my singular honor and pleasure to be on this show. Looking forward for the interaction.
Yes. So friends, he is not just a person who's got economic understanding. He's not just the pure, simple Indian Forest Service, but you can see that he's got multiple degrees from telecommunication to marketing to economics. So he's a super breed that we are looking at. For once, India is at such a lovely stage in life that I have seen over the last few years. We always seen that green stick dangling in front, but we could never reach there. But now it makes me very proud when our Foreign Minister, Shri Jai Shankar, takes a stand, and that too boldly, telling the world, well, this is India, the new India. You better listen to us. This is what we are looking at. This is what we are going to be doing. Don't try to bully us. I mean, that makes me very proud as an Indian. It makes me feel very, very shoulder high, because otherwise we always had that demeanor approach, sorry, apologetic. Yeah, we'll do what you want to say, what you want us to do. Here, we are here to say that, no, this is the boundary line. This is the Lakshman Rekha. We have started explaining to them what Ramayana and Mahabharata could be. That, yeah, we understand our history, our mythology is way, way more important. It's deep in our blood, in the Indian culture. And we are ready to accept the whole world. G20, what is the motto of G20 today? That is what Shri Narendra Modi has wanted to say. That every human being, all religions, everybody is one in this world. And this is what we want to convey to people. Well, sir, thank you for being with us, and very, very nice stage of life that India is when we are going to be going to more than 10 trillion economy. So now a basic question for a common man like me. What is it that exactly the Ministry of External Affairs office in Mumbai does? You are heading the Secretariat. What is it, the functions, and how do you function, and what are your responsibilities, sir?
Good. Thank you for that question. Before I start answering, just two quick points. Perhaps I heard it wrong, but I am from the Indian Foreign Service, not the Forest Service. That is number one.
Yes.
And number two, whatever views and replies I would be giving here, these are entirely in my personal capacity. This is not the ministry's point of view, not the government of India's point of view. And these are entirely my opinion, which I will be sharing. Now, coming back to your question as to what is that the Ministry of External Affairs does in Mumbai. So we'll have to step back a little back in time, around 2014, when the late Srimati Sushma Swaraj was the External Affairs Minister. And it was her vision that all the services which are dispensed by the Ministry of External Affairs, these services should be brought under one roof, so that a common man does not have to run from one office to the other. And it is with this vision that the first and the only Videsh Bhavan in India was envisaged and is in Mumbai. Now, the Videsh Bhavan, as we know in BKC, that's the Bandra Kurla complex. If any of you ever happen to visit that site, you would see it right opposite the US consulate. So this is a very interesting building, and it has it's the only one in India. It has 4 offices of the Ministry of External Affairs. So the first office is the regional passport office. That is one of the roles which I do, which dispenses passport services, passport related services to citizens. And we have a area earmarked, which is a part of Western Maharashtra. The other office that we have is the branch secretariat, which Dr. Mehta has referred to. And so the branch secretariat essentially is a coordinating office between the central government, the Ministry of External Affairs on one hand, the state government on the other, and the consulates in Mumbai. So for your information, Mumbai is the city next to Delhi, which has the highest concentration of diplomatic missions. So while all the embassies and high commissions are located at the capital, and interact with our headquarters, that is our Ministry of External Affairs, the consulates, which are essentially looking after the trade aspects of a bilateral relationship or the consular aspects for their citizens, and also dispense visa services for Indian citizens. These interact with us. So between the central government, the state government, and the consulate, the branch secretariat balances and works between these 3 entities to the effect of attracting greater investments into Maharashtra, and also to promote Maharashtra as a tourist destination, as well as to promote exports from Maharashtra. Now, the third office that we have is the Protector of Immigrants. This office essentially acts as a regulator over all recruiting agents who have been allowed by the government to recruit blue-collar or semi-skilled workers and send them to countries such as the Middle East. If you recollect, some of you would know that there used to be a problem of irregular migration from India, wherein these people used to be taken with certain promises, and eventually when they landed up there, the working conditions were very different from what they originally envisaged. So in order to safeguard the rights of our citizens, especially this uneducated or limited or population with limited education, the Office of Protector Immigrant works. And the fourth office that we have is the ICCR, which is the Indian Cultural Relations. It's a soft arm of MEA, which promotes cultural diplomacy. And through ICCR, we not only have exchange of cultural troops in the area of performing arts, but we also do a lot of scholarships for deserving students from various developing countries, and further friendship between India and these developing countries. So in a nutshell, this is what the Videsh Bhavan does. And in specific to your question, Dr. Mehta, this is what the branch secretariat also does.
Wow, amazing. I mean, I was not aware that there are so many responsibilities being shouldered by you. So what if a student, like you said, you manage to have, we get a lot of students who are not affording to have those fees being paid abroad. So the office of your office also helps with those kind of students. Can they approach your office for that?
No, sir. These scholarships are meant for foreign students, as in students who decide to come and study in India. So that is an assistance, nature of assistance which is given. So the Ministry of External Affairs would deal with any sort of a project or implementation of a project which deals with a foreign country or a foreign national. For the domestic citizens or for the domestic students, then you have the Ministry of Education, or which would be in the lead.
Oh, that's very interesting. So foreign students, and now that we are given a green go ahead for having any Oxford, any kind of international university being set up in India, I think that would see a lot of students migrating here for studies for multiple reasons.
Yes.
Do you,
I
do you
think that would be a very interesting phenomena. For long we have our students have been going to these premier institutes to study, and if and today we do form a considerable chunk of students, which and a very sought after students who are who have always contributed to the country to which they have gone, have always added value to the institute where they have been. We have been peace-loving, law-abiding citizenry at large, and therefore we have earned the respect. So while there is a great demand for students from India, I think the narrative is also shifting. We are already laying the conducive groundwork for such kind of universities to enter into India, set up shop here, and not only attract students within India, but also act as regional hubs for students in and around India.
Wow, the oldest Bodh Gaya University, of course, historically is ours in the world. Even though Oxford and Harvard may claim that they are 400 years old, but we are thousands of years old. So I guess that would be a great comeback for India. We could have a great thing. Enough teaching is there in the Indian blood. The way they teach is not anywhere else that we can get that kind of teaching, and that's why our students do so well in any university abroad. Maybe undergrad or postgrad, I guess. So that should be a great beginning and a revolutionary change, which has been mindset, which would be there. Sir, I wanted to ask you, what is the official passport and what is the diplomatic passport?
Interesting question. So your passports, which are given by the government of India, are broadly categorized into three parts. The first is an ordinary passport, which has a blue jacket. And most of the citizens would know it because they would possess a blue passport. Other than the blue passport, there is a white passport, which is called as an official passport, given to government officers or any person who is going on government business abroad. Now, these are usually short-term passports, and they give certain privileges to the holder of the passport in terms of having a faster visa processing and so on and so forth. But the holder of the passport is there in the other country only for official purpose and is treated as such. The third level of passport, which is a diplomatic passport, is red in color, and that is a passport which is issued either to diplomats, or there is a list of people within the government who are entitled for a diplomatic passport. A diplomatic passport obviously provides you diplomatic immunity in a foreign country, and gives you an environment for you to fearlessly conduct your business in a foreign country and to meet your national interests.
Yeah. So does that have, we know visas required, a diplomatic passport doesn't need most countries' visa?
Yes, so you are right in up to a certain point that for certain countries there is a reciprocal arrangement wherein we allow their diplomats to enter into India visa free, and we are allowed to enter into their country visa free. But that is only for a limited point of time. Let's say it would either be 30 days or 90 days or 180 days. So that's a specified time. In other countries where there is a visa requirement, there the visas are given expeditiously, and it's not the regular channel that visas are applied for other citizens, but this is a separate channel, and the visa processing time can be very short on such passports.
First, I would compliment you on the subject of passport. You know, almost everybody around me has said, and especially senior citizens, that getting a passport was like a nightmare once upon a time. I remember way back in the 80s, you had to stand in huge queues there. There were agents and touts and everything near that Worli Satyam Sachinam, that passport office. But now it has become so smooth, online processing and the fastest delivery at a very, very short period of time. I guess that's a huge change that has happened, rather than huge documentation and multiple visits, and more so for senior citizens. it is such a nice thing that they don't even have to go to the office or whatever. And even the police verification is a lot more easier. So I must compliment your ministry for having done that wonderful job.
Yes, and I accept that compliment with absolute humility, and with the understanding that a lot of work has been done by uh, my predecessors, especially in Delhi, to be at a stage where we are. It there were because digitization, while everybody wanted it, but it was an animal which was not known. People did not know how it would turn out to be, and there was always this fear of unknown. I think we must all compliment the officers at that point of time, and the dispensation also, which took the decision to be able to implement a digitization of the entire passport processes. We brought in an IT company to provide us a backbone for dispensing this service, and with that also there was a great deal of transparency which was brought in the process. There was speed on the other hand, efficiency which improved. Today, I can very proudly claim that if it's a Tatkal, at least in Mumbai, our passport turnaround time is as low as 2 days also. And although as per charter, it is 3 days, but we are able to turn around cases even in as short as 2 days. There is also the issue of police verification. But before the police verification, let me talk about the documentation. There is an ongoing effort in the ministry to keep simplifying documentation to a stage where citizens are not burdened to give multiple documents and repeatedly at various places. The entire list of documents has been listed on the website. So any citizen who, in whatever category they wish to apply, can easily go and have can understand in advance what is the document that is required. The stage of police verification is applicable in certain cases, is not applicable in certain cases, but wherever it is applicable, we are in continuous conversation with the police authorities also. And I think we, both they and us, we try to work together to simplify further simplify and speed it up the process of police verification. Our one more partner, which is not mostly talked about, is the postal department. They because even after we have printed and handed it over to them, it is they who bring the passport to your doorsteps in a time-bound manner and in a manner in which the passport is not damaged. Even in the monsoons, etc., they take care of your passports and bring it to them. They also help us in verifying addresses. So because the delivery of the passport serves as a second check for us in terms of address verification. So I think with the cooperation of each of these stakeholders, we are able to give you a seamless experience in passports.
Oh, that last part was a googly. That when it's get delivered, you rather be there in your house, or your what address you have given is what should be there on your passport, and that is counter checked very clearly because the delivery comes in your hand. I think that's a brilliant move. The last part, QED, proved very well that the whole cycle gets properly conducted. Sir, a question. I don't have my passport. I lost my passport, misplaced, whatever. In an emergency, there I need it as early as possible because I have to travel because somebody is unwell or whatever reason. How can I get a passport as the fastest, and how can I request?
So, getting a passport in an emergency is always possible in Tatkal. So, as I said, the Tatkal turnaround time is very short. But there could be cases where even 48 hours may not be possible for the person to wait, especially in case of a death case or in case of a medical emergency.
Correct.
In such cases, I would urge all citizens to directly approach the RPO concerned and explain your case to them. And there are, depending on a case-to-case basis, we have certain flexibilities within the system wherein such individuals can be held. However, if the passport has been lost, and if somebody comes seeking a tatkal service or an immediate service, then we might be slightly constrained because lost passport cases are dealt with slightly differently. There is a police verification element that kicks in before the passport service can be given to the person. So keep your passports safely. Do not lose them. That is the only takeaway from this answer. Because in case if you have lost a passport, then you also lose the opportunity to get a passport at a very short in a very short time in case if an emergency arises.
Interesting. So what would you recommend? Keep a photocopy at multiple places with known relatives and keep it on email somewhere on the cloud so that you can access it somewhere.
So it depends where you're losing the passport. If you're losing the passport within India, then obviously having a photocopy of your passport helps you, but it helps you only to the limited extent of filling up the form, because you would need to fill in your previous passport details, and you might also require those details by filing the FIR. If you lose your passport, when you're traveling abroad, then the game changes entirely. Because having a passport copy on you helps, number one, on your email also is very helpful. People sometimes store it in their phone, but we have had situations where a bag has been snatched and along the bag contained both the phone as well as the passport. So you may wish to keep some copy of a passport in your hotel room or at whichever place you are staying. After a passport is lost abroad, I think the first thing is to report it to the police and then bring it to the immediate attention of the embassy, the Indian embassy, or the nearest consulate. Bring it to their notice. There are two ways then thereafter to deal with it. The embassy might issue you a fresh passport, which in case would require would require a certain time. And in case if there is an emergency for the person to return to India, and this is true even for people who have been residing in foreign countries for a long time, they wish to come to India, but at the last minute they are unable to find their passport, or the passport has been damaged. There is a provision called as an emergency certificate, which is a one-way travel document, which is issued by the embassy or the consulate or the High Commission. They issue you the emergency certificate, which allows you to travel only to India. So whichever part of the country you are, of the world you are, you can take a one-way ticket and come to India and then get your passport processed here in India once you are here.
Very interesting. So I'll just repeat whatever fast that you said. Very, very important statements. Every word which you said was very, very important and apt. That if you lose a passport in a foreign country, don't panic. Contact first. A police complaint has to be registered. Correct, sir?
Yes, that's right.
And then try and locate your old passport photocopy if you can, and approach the Indian embassy.
Yes,
and if there is an emergency, you can get a new passport from there. But if there is a bigger emergency or for whatever reason, you can come back, cut short your travel, come back with a one-way document. Be given an emergency document to travel to India, and then you can process your passport from here.
That's right.
Right. But so that is very important. Now the question comes, you have to continue your journey, but you have misplaced it. You are on a tour or whatever reason for 15 days. And the second day in Barcelona, my passport is stolen. Notorious place where, you lose the things. And if you want to continue, then the embassy there would help me get a new passport faster for continuing.
Yes, they would certainly help you to the best possible extent to get you to replace your passport. But onwards journeys sometimes would also involve onward visas. So that becomes a little bit of, it's not a pretty situation to be in if you lose your passport. But what the government is definitely committed is in case if its citizen is stranded in a third country, because and they do not have a valid travel document, we are then committed to bring you back to your motherland as per your desire, whether it is on an emergency certificate or on a new passport. When it comes to travel to a third country, that's a little bit of uh, a luck involved also, if you can manage your visas soon. But passports, yes, you will certainly. That is, we can help you.
I love that statement which you made. It is the duty of the government to get you back to this country. You said, I'm sorry, I'm misquoting your words, but what
I said we are committed.
Committed. Yeah. I mean, that's a brilliant statement. We are committed to get you back to your motherland. I think this is something very, very important, which is, we have said the word embassy for a common man, police station, embassy, passport, visa. My God, it's the last thing anybody wants to go through in a foreign country. First of all, you lost your passport. You may have lost your valuables and you lost your money. You hardly have any money to even call up people. You know, your credit cards are lost. Everything is lost just in case. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. But embassy would be there to help you at that time.
Right.
Now comes the most important question. How do I contact the embassy there?
So, if you have been staying in a particular country, you would certainly know where your embassy is, because you would have attended several functions, events at the embassy, the national days at the embassy. So if you haven't done, I would strongly urge you to do so. It's a great place to go connect, meet the different officers in the embassy. If you if you have been there in a place for a long time, you would also know that there are a lot of Indian associations that are every country. For example, all the Indians would have come together under an Indian association. That is another, and they would usually are their office bearers are in regular touch with the embassy. That is the second way. But what happens if I have just landed in a country, I have not been staying there, and I have lost my passport? If you have crossed your immigration and you are in the country, and then if you meet a situation where you have lost or misplaced your passport, then my suggestion would be to immediately approach the nearest embassy, which you can Google and find out the nearest location of the embassy. There on the web page of the embassy or of the consulate, you would also have a 24-hour emergency number. You can speak to them, explain your urgency to them, and they would be happy to guide you on that front. There are also ways of reaching out the embassy through their Twitter handle. There are multiple Twitter handles through which you can seek help. There is a Twitter handle for MEA. There is a Twitter handle for the CPV division, which CPV stands for Consular, Passport and Visas. So that is a division which essentially deals with passport matters. There is a PSP division, which looks after the passport Seva project. So between CPV and PSP, you have contacts. You have the Twitter handles of the ambassador and of the embassy. You can tag them, reach out to them. If you physically reach the embassy and if you have a copy of your passport, then you can certainly meet one of the officers and they'll be happy to help you. I think the next level of complication can happen if it's a weekend. Sometimes if you reach on a Sunday, and then there might be a different level of complication. But the emergency numbers usually are very helpful. The third level of complication that can arise is if you have misplaced your passport on the flight, as in even before you have crossed the immigration, you have misplaced your passport. That is that's I would say, to my mind, is the trickiest situation, because there is no way for the airline to prove your nationality or your identity. There is no way for the foreign immigration officers to ascertain your nationality. Your photocopies may not really be of much help to you there. So in such cases, your only solace would be for you to reach out to the embassy or the consulate concerned, and they being able to give you a one-way emergency document or help you with a new passport. But that is the scariest of all situations, losing a passport during transit.
I guess that's the worst. I mean, I'd never thought about this, but you're right. I'm citizen of nowhere suddenly, like that movie. I don't know which country I've come from and where am I going. So I will not even get an immigration stamp. The immigration officer will not look at me because I don't have a passport.
Absolutely.
So by the time I go to immigration, I am lost totally, and I have no contact. I have no phone. I mean, my signals are not very good. Very important. So that is the time I can contact the embassy.
Certainly,
because I have no choice, because the immigration officer will not let me in. It's not his fault. So
Yeah.
I'm stuck absolutely in the middle. And this is where my emergency office can help me.
Yes.
And what documents would they want? My old photocopy. So again and again, some kind of evidence, that is required by the embassy to say that I'm an Indian citizen.
A photocopy definitely helps. In case if you don't have a photocopy, at least you should know your passport number. If you know your passport number,
passport number.
So through our system, we will be able to retrieve the information. Finally, for us to help any individual, because we are committed and duty bound to help our citizens. So the first level of check is whether the person who is approaching us is indeed a citizen. That has to be confirmed beyond doubt.
Very important. Remembering like my telephone number, my passport number is vital. I wish we all had equal memory like you. You are blessed with phenomenal memory that I'm aware of. And I'm very clear about. You don't forget facts and you can quote unquote anytime. I wish I could, but I promise you a lot of viewers would agree with me. 80% of them don't remember their passport number. I think that's the first thing, to remember your passport number when you're traveling. And that is going to help you. What are the hacks to get to the embassy? What are the ways in which I can, because there is panic, there is chaos, there is panic, there is fear, and there is trouble.
Yeah.
And mind is not thinking very clearly. So if there is a, fire drill kind of a drill in my mind, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, I think this is what you're saying very clearly.
So, sir, if let's take two scenarios. The first scenario is I have crossed the immigration boundary, and I forgot my or my passport was stolen on the road, or I forgot it in a taxi and something like that. I think the first thing I need to do is to approach a police station, tell them that so and so thing has happened. If the passport can be salvaged or retrieved, a lot of things can be avoided. If not, one can look up for your embassy or the consulate on Google and take a taxi or travel to that place. You may also be it may also be in order for you to seek some kind of a financial assistance from the embassy in case if a person is in a bad state, but that assistance can be given only on a case-to-case basis. For obvious reasons, it cannot be extended to everybody. So those kind of assistance is given. But if you are in an immigration area and if you are unable to locate your passport or somebody has flicked your passport, again, the first instinct would be to find an officer of that country, an immigration officer of that country, explain to him the situation. They may be able to see the cameras, the CCTV cameras, try to locate your passport. And if not, they themselves will be in a position to contact the embassies because they do have the contact details of the embassies. Our protocol officers are in regular liaison with the authorities at the airports, etc. So there is no blueprint as such to answer to your question, but it again also depends on how helpful is the officer, the foreign officer whom you have approached. There are cases where people have been treated really gently and with the sense of understanding. In some cases, people have been given a hard time. So it all there is an element of luck also to that situation.
Yeah, but there is a solution. Don't panic. You have to cool down. Just take a few deep breaths, cool down. think logically, and the bottom line message which should be there deep ingrained in my subconscious, the embassy is there to help me, and they will always be contactable somehow or the other, and they are there to help me. And the best thing you said, in case I've lost my purse, I've lost money, I don't have any cash, that I can also get a little money to sustain myself over there for some time. Of course, case to case basis, nobody is going to be giving, there's no free lunch or dinner. And one more important point you said, for a lot of Indians who live abroad, that do go to cultural meetings held by the embassy regularly. This is something, again, I'm saying most people avoid going to embassies, meeting office. Everybody's scared of the protocol and all that. But you are encouraging something which is very important, which you said, a very, very important take-home message for a lot of foreigners who live in, in the US, UK, and everywhere. We have Indians everywhere. The embassy holds regular programs. Go meet people, get acclimatized, get to know somebody. It might just be helpful both ways.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, in many cases, our children study abroad, or somebody whom we know has gone abroad for a job. Please advise all such individuals to, number one, visit the embassy, at least know where the embassy is, physical location of the embassy, try to get the contact details of the embassy, and more importantly, become or join these local communities. There is an Indian association community, or there would be an Indian community existing in some form or the other there. Become a part of it, and we usually circulate messages for national days, etc., through these communities. The sense of camaraderie is very different when we are abroad. You would all agree to it.
Yes.
So only good things will come out of such a by you associating with other Indians in a foreign country.
Yeah, I can vouch by what you're saying. We have the ophthalmic meeting in the European Congress of Cataract Refractive Surgery, like Paris we had. Yeah. And all the ophthalmologists in India, they were there, say about 200 people. And the local ambassador came with us for a boat ride. So that was nice. It makes us feel good. He just joined with us for dinner and he was there for the whole thing. So it's nice to keep in touch, and it's important both ways to understand that you are secured and safe. I think that's a very, very important take-home message. So now that we are coming to this interesting point, you served in Germany as economics officer. What is the function of an embassy abroad? What all things that the embassy does?
Well, that's a very exhaustive question, but I'll try and answer it as succinctly as possible. So your embassy is a microcosm of the entire government of India, and taken and put in a foreign country. So every aspect of a foreign relation, every aspect of a relationship that India can or has with a foreign government is handled by the embassy. Largely, the embassy is divided into various wings. There is a political wing, which basically deals with the political relations between the two countries. There is an economic and trade wing, which deals with exports, which deals with exports and imports, which deals with technology transfers. If there are projects which are being executed in either of the country, either through government grants, those things are, for example, we do have a lot of projects which we execute in the neighborhood through government grants, etc. That is looked after. Then we have a military wing which looks after the defense relations between the two countries. We have a consular wing which looks after dispensing visa services to foreigners and passport services to our Indian nationals. We do have a community wing which looks after the Indians who are staying in that country. Their needs, their problems, their challenges are looked after. We can have a cultural wing, we can have a press wing. So there are some places which also have an agriculture wing. But it all depends as to which aspect of your relationship with a particular government is very prominent. And as per that, there could be a specialized dedicated officer to handle. But even in case if there is no dedicated officer to handle, for example, when I was in Germany, I was handling everything. So that we did not have an agriculture officer. So agriculture was handled by me. You think of any ministry within the government of India, and that work of that ministry can be carried out with the other government through the embassy. So in a nutshell, that is what we do there.
Wow. So it's mini India represented in that embassy with protection from military, passports, every kind of thing. And it's a different environment to meet Indians there, as you said rightly.
Yeah.
The infrastructure and the different country, the approach is totally different by people there. I mean, that is what is a big difference. You know, you go over here, you feel you are not very welcome, but you go over there, you feel that no, you are an Indian and you are identified and you are quite very welcome. I'm a technocrat. I'm an eye surgeon. You know, we have a lot of technology. How could I approach, say, Germany has some phenomenal technologies and all. How can the embassy and I work somewhere so that there's some kind of a technology transfer?
Very, very nice question, Dr. Saab. So, in case there is, I'll limit or rather give an example of Germany. So, because I've worked there, Germany has a very systematic method wherein every industry there has an association. So usually, let's say if you are looking to import a particular machine, or you're looking at importing a particular technology or a particular technique, if you are aware as to which company is selling it, you can write to the embassy saying that I am looking to get contacts of XYZ company. And the embassy, if it has it in a database, number one, they will be able to give you. Number two, they can also give you a due diligence on the company. In case if you want to deal with the company, but you're not sure whether this company is genuine or not, you can write to the embassy, and the embassy might be able to check very quickly with the local chambers of commerce to see if the company is registered with the chambers of commerce, if it has the necessary documentation, and would be able to reply to you. Number three, in case if you actually decide to go ahead and deal with the company, depending from country to country, the embassy would be happy to sort of facilitate a physical meeting between you and your potential buyer or seller, and help them and help and give you because for the company to deal with you, they also need to have the due diligence. So the moment there is the embassy involved in it, there is a certain level of assurance to both parties. The embassy can also put you in touch with certain Indian chambers of commerce like the CII and FICCI. They also sometimes have offices in foreign countries, and we would be happy to put you in touch with their representatives and through their networks also. So there are multiple ways of doing it. But the first way is, of course, to approach the embassy, write to them, give the right details, and in case if things do not sort of, you don't get a response, then there are, if you go to the website, you will have the complete list of officers. You can always escalate the issue to the next officer and get a response for your query.
I guess this is very important, sir. As an individual, if I approach some company, may not have that much impact, but if it is through the embassy, it's like India backing me. You know, this is what we want. We want somebody, a strong hand to say, no other help, but a strong hand for the other person to realize that these are not weaklings. And your negotiation power, your understanding, their genuinity would be explored to the hilt. I guess that's a great thing that you have said.
Sir, if I may also sort of add another point here, because and this is a practical aspect of it. There would be hundreds of businessmen who would be wanting to do a business in a particular country. Now, most of the queries that we get are trade queries. Please give us an importer of XYZ item. So those we may or we may not have. But in case if there is a reason for, if there is a potential opportunity for you to collaborate, do a JV, or to buy certain specific technologies from these countries, what I would suggest is to approach us through one of your associations. So no matter in which industry you are, you would be a member of a particular, let's say a Pharmexcel or a Chemexcel or lexicon, whichever association you are a member of. Please also utilize them. Let them also write to us. And in case if there is a large number of businesses who are willing to buy a particular product or who need a similar kind of a service from a foreign country, then we would be happy to organize a B2B summit. I mean, the embassies would be definitely happy to organize a B2B summit and help businesses on both sides, connect businesses on both sides.
Oh, brilliant. I think that helps a lot, because through the organization. So as an individual, again, you know my authenticity when I approached it through an organization. The organization would be registered, it would have its own implications, and that would have a bearing for you also to talk further down to the other people there. I guess that makes a lot of sense. Now, sir, now that, and you know, that the Ministry of External Affairs, I would come back to that. And we always have that father figure of Jai Shankar talking right now, you know, those lovely videos, and the head held very high, and it's very proud moment. And the kind of evacuations we had, thanks to Sushma Swaraj ji and our general who had done that from various countries, which other countries could not manage to do. Now, what exactly is the primary work scope of a Ministry of External Affairs?
See, in cases of evacuation, there is a lot of groundwork that happens before an evacuation actually takes place. Evacuation can either be through our chartered flights, like your commercial flights, or it could be through military aircraft. There could be a situation where the airspace is still open, or there could be a situation where the airspace is closed and there is fighting happening between two groups. So the embassy's role would be to provide all kind of intelligence, including political intelligence, military intelligence, at that point of time, for the headquarters to take a decision on the feasibility of arranging evacuation. In case if a military aircraft has to land, where will it land? It cannot simply land on a highway. So there has to be an airstrip identified. If the main airport is not working, which airport it can go to. So things like that. Number two, the embassy does is to organize all the citizens to make sure that they are safe, they arrive at a common point, because you might have an aircraft and nobody gets onto the aircraft if people are not able to reach that place. So even before the evacuation, there is this question of safety of your citizens, to make sure that they have the basic amenities. And that is sometimes done either directly by the government, but always with the cooperation of the local government. So the embassy has to reach out to the local government and manage a space, a political space for its own citizens, to safeguard them, that they are not harmed, their properties are not harmed. So there is a lot of work which gets done before evacuation. And then finally, when the aircraft lands, there is this entire question of logistics, of refueling of the aircraft, of maintenance of the aircraft, getting food onto the aircraft. So there are either you have a specialized agency that does it, but it is the embassy's responsibility to find such agencies, make sure that they get paid properly, and then the entire operation goes as smoothly as possible.
Okay. Now that we're seeing a lot of things about G20, a very dominant role, it couldn't come at a better time for India to have the leadership role being played for G20. We are at a great stage right now. What exactly are we achieving? What does G20 stand for? You know, first time that I love to see India being written in press, trying to monitor a peace between the US ambassador, you know, your Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken here, and you have the Russian defense person right there at one stage, which is very difficult. And what are we achieving with G20? What are the main goals, side goals, and what are we indirectly achieving with G20?
So it was Prime Minister Modi's vision that we are completing 75. We have completed 75 years of independence, and India must announce these 75 years, as we call it, the Amrit Kal, with very solid leadership. G20 presidency gives us that opportunity to tell. So and again, what is G20? G20 is nothing but it's a group of 19 countries plus the EU, and this group of countries are the movers and shakers of the global economy. So it started off as an economic forum, but now again the nature and it's becoming even more granular. What we're trying to achieve out of the G20 presidency is that India has very clearly positioned itself as the voice of the globally south countries, that is the developing and emerging countries. India has said that we are going to champion the cause of, let's say, food security, energy security, environment protection, sustainable development, health for all, affordability of energy for all. So these are some of the concerns which are of the developing countries, and our during our presidency of G20, we are going to bring these find solutions to some of these problems, or at least try to endeavor to find a solution to some of these problems. There is the issue of transformation of international or multilateral organizations of like the UN Security Council. There is the question of digital transformation of countries, of the public digital public infrastructure. So India is trying to act as a go-between, bring all the people, have a discussion on some of these issues on one hand, on the other hand, present the problems that the developing countries are facing. On the third hand, try to showcase some of the achievements that India has done in terms of energy security, in terms of in a fantastic work when it comes to renewable energy, fantastic work when it comes to financial inclusion, in terms of digital infrastructure, and so on and so forth. And on the fourth hand, again, we are right now, our presidency, it comes at a very delicate moment in international history, wherein there is an ongoing war between two countries, and India again is playing behaving very maturely. I think it's a sign of our mature leadership that we are reiterating to both the parties to come to the negotiating table, cease all wars, all hostilities, and find a peaceful solution through diplomatic means. But amidst all of it, all the previous things that I said will all have to fall in place in a peaceful environment. So it's a difficult and a thin line to walk, but I'm sure our political leadership and our diplomats are quite capable to handle such a situation.
Yes, sir. It's like the Lakshman Rekha. If
Yeah.
it is a sixer, you are a hero, and if you're caught inside, you're a zero. So the ultimate story of life is like that, and we are trying to tread that very delicate balance wherein India has come, and we have to proclaim that we are there, and we have the maturity to handle a lot of situations. Of a good beginning for showing the superpower that is emerging. I guess that's the best thing, and music to ears to most listeners of things which are coming, and all the great news that how we have faced what we were before COVID, and what is the fastest growth economy, and yet post COVID we are still the fastest growing economy. I guess these are things which is enough true evidence for this country. You don't need any more, and these are reported by international figures. So there's no doubting any question there. Any other message that you would like to give to our listeners from your personal perspective, from the MEA, and otherwise?
Look, I think we are at a very interesting stage as a country. We are looked upon by other countries with great respect. And this is a respect which has not been given to us by anyone uh, for free. We have earned it. And we have earned this respect through sustained ingenuity, hard work, innovation of our citizens. Today, when our prime minister speaks, when our foreign minister speaks, when there is a great level of attention and curiosity among all those who are attending. So India today has a voice which cannot be taken lightly. We are the largest country in terms of population, and any architecture, global architecture that is being framed needs to understand or needs to encompass that the largest population of this country has to have a particular say in terms of its own development for its own people, and the sustainability of any such measure that the international community decides. So on the other side, when we are abroad, each one of us is an ambassador of our country. What we do, what we speak, the way we behave is all a reflection of your countrymen, of your country. So while on one hand, businesses are striving hard to form an image for India, the government is doing whatever it can to have a particular image of India. It is up to each one of us to support this endeavor and to present the best picture of ourselves when we are abroad. We need to follow or rather respect the local laws. Always, courtesy is never a sign of weakness. In fact, it always brings great strength to the person who's courteous. And otherwise, also, I have my own personal experience as that we are far more united as a people when we are abroad. So things are very interesting, and I think we are truly in an Amrit Kal. We are now riding the highest point of the wave, and it's only going to get better. Before I sort of end it, I would like to reiterate my commitment and the ministry's commitment in ensuring that businesses, citizens, students, tourists, that you would always have a home away from home when it comes to your embassies and consulates. Yes, we are duty bound to look after your welfare. Please reach out to us. Even while you are in India, if there is something that we can do in terms of your passports, or if you need any sort of advice, please feel free to reach out to us. And I think we are all here trying to promote the image of India as a very strong and cohesive country.
I couldn't agree more, sir. When I went to the US 91 to study, and I remember they still had the image of India as where a lot of cows are roaming on the street and those farmers are there. They didn't even know on the map where India exists. To the fact that today, India, with all its roadways and the telecom and the infrastructure with the internet and the amount of digitalization this country has undergone on a fintech ground and otherwise, I guess this is the image that India has now of a smart young Indian and the youngest population, a population which is not growing old very soon. All corporates want to look at it. More than 300 million people, they are looking to sell their stuff. This is the hardest working population. We still have great manners. Pai Lagu is still there. A family value is still there in this country. I think what you said is, this is what they need to learn from this country. And I guess we couldn't be. We are not at the pinnacle still. We are on this Gaussian curve. We are still rising. I guess that's the beauty. We still have a good way to go, but we should be there very soon. A quick personal question, sir. You also an IPS. And how did you decide to get from IPS into IFS?
Well, so I wrote the UPSC exams to be in the foreign service. In my first attempt, I could crack the exam, but I could get only in the IPS. I was again, very comfortable in that job as well. But my calling was for the foreign service. And I think the calling emerged because somewhere I felt that in my own personal assessment, the strengths and the skills which I had and the requirement of a job of foreign service officer, there was a great match between those two. Personally, I also felt that the foreign service helps you grow personally uh, because of uh, because the very job brings you in contact with very eminent persons like yourself who have achieved excellence in their various fields, and it is truly inspiring for all of us when we interact with businesses, with professors, with academicians, with scientists, with politicians, with doctors who have excelled in their field. And with every such interaction, I think we have enriched ourselves. So till the time we retire, I think we have enriched ourselves a great deal intellectually, and it adds to our personality. A person never stops learning in the foreign service. Now, number three, the variety of the job is tremendous. So I may in a country there may be a variety of geographical variety, as in I served in Africa and I served in Europe. And let me tell you, the work in both of these countries, even if I'm doing economic work, it's vastly different in each of these continents. I may be today doing economic work, tomorrow I may be doing political work, the day after I may be doing scientific work. At the headquarters, of course, there is a long list of divisions that I can choose to work from, and each division has its own specialized skill sets that I would learn. Uh, it's a great place for the family also. The family gets to see the world. There is good education for the children. So I would say, on one hand, there is a lot of professional satisfaction, but on the other hand, there is also a great deal of personal satisfaction. And that's the reason why I chose the foreign service.
Before I end, I must give you the note that our dear friend D. Sivanandan, ex-police commissioner and DG Mumbai, Maharashtra, he has written some very nice words for you. He said, great flow of valuable information even to me. He was heading the FRRO once. And he says for him also, things have improved, and he's really said some very, very nice words for you. And I must compliment you on that. And he's a very dear friend and a very respected person. You know that. Very lucid and simple ways of explaining.
Thank you very much for your kind words. They mean a lot to me. And we all look upon seniors like you and continue to seek their blessings.
Friends, that was a wonderful time. We had a lot of valuable, vital information. We managed to snatch 1 hour out of his personal life on a Sunday morning. But I guess it's going to help us a long way. A kind of a fire drill. I didn't know what to do. How would be the embassy? I'm always scared in my blank mind that can't approach an embassy. But look at him. It's a very friendly atmosphere. The passport control center, the regional passport office has become so much more friendlier. When a boss like this is there, you can automatically imagine the rest of the staff has little choice but to get their jobs done. And this is where the beauty is. And I'm witness to it, from not for me, but just for a lot of people around me also received their passport in time with a smiling face. I guess this is what the new India is all about. And thank you, sir. Thank you for spending your valuable time and giving us some valuable information. We'll come back to you with more queries one of these days very soon. And friends, thank you for tuning in and listening to this great conversation. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Sunday and a great weekend.
Thank you, Dr. Saab, and thanks to all viewers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Navneet. Thank you, Pooja, for being there, for the great support that we have had for live telecast across. Navneet, thank you, and Ashok. Wonderful. Thanks all very much, and good day to everyone. Bye for now.